Welcome to another MECH 1000 video. In this video we're going to look at a pair of commands that I absolutely love to use, the trim and extend commands. So they're found on the modified toolbar, and they're located in the same place. They're like two opposite sides of the same coin, trim and extend. So the trim and extend commands are extremely useful, but it does require a series of clicks in a particular order. And I think because of that reason, I see a lot of students shying away from using the trim and extend command. They just either seem to have some trouble with it, or they just try to avoid it altogether. And that's in my opinion, really a mistake. I think these are really valuable tools. So let's see. Let's start. I'm going to start by drawing a series of lines here, and you'll notice I'm drawing them all at different lengths. And in fact, maybe I'll just take these and copy them over a couple times. Okay, so I have all these different lines that are different lengths. We could maybe think of these as hairs on your head or grass in your lawn. We want to trim it off. They're uneven. They're all different lengths, and we want to trim them up. We want to give them a haircut and make them all the same length. So here's the thing about the trim command in AutoCAD. You need some other feature, some other line or polyline or curve or arc or something that is actually going to do the trimming. Like, you can't get a haircut without a pair of scissors or hair clippers, can you? So if I want to trim the tips off of all these lines, I need this horizontal line to actually do the trimming. Like I said, we can think of this line as our pair of scissors that's going to snip it off. So when we start the trim command, we choose the command, and what students want to do, what their intuition tells them that they should start doing, is once they've chosen the trim command, they just want to right away start clicking on the lines that they want to trim off. Okay, so you have to fight that urge, because that is not the proper order in which to do it. When the command line down here is telling us to select objects, what it's asking us to do is select the object that's going to do the trimming. What object is it that's going to be our pair of scissors? That line is our object. So we don't need to click on any of these other lines right now. Just this one. That's it. That's the object that is going to do our trimming. And then we finish that selection with a right click or enter or spacebar. And now is the time we can choose the lines that we want to trim. So we can either click on them individually, or we can do a right to left selection window to select them all at once. And that trims off all of those lines. And if I want to, I can now get rid of this line, and they're all even. They're all the same length, right? So trim is great in a lot of different applications. But like I said, you have to follow the correct order of inputting the command. Just undo that and go through that again. So you need to choose the command. Don't start clicking on what you want to be trimmed off right away. First, you have to choose what is going to do the trimming, enter or right click, and then choose what you want to have trimmed off. So it's just like one little extra step there to remember. But once you get used to that order of operations, if you will, this command comes in handy so often. One area where it's useful is, let's say we want to clean up a corner. We have a couple lines here that intersect, but then they pass by each other. If we want this to just be a nice clean corner, I've shown you before we can use the fillet command with a 0 radius to clean this up, but we can also use the trim command. So using this trim command, we want to trim two things off. We want to trim off this line using this as our trimmer, and we also want to trim off the end of this line using the other line as the trimmer. So when you go to select your objects, we're going to select both of them. Right click, enter or spacebar, and then we can trim off the two lines. Okay, so that's the trim command. And now let's show you the extend command. So this time I'll draw a line up here. And let's say I want, if we're going to continue to use this analogy of like mowing the lawn or something, first we trimmed off all these blades of grass. Now we want them to grow. We want them to all grow to be the same height. We want to extend all of these lines up to here. Now, we could, I suppose, click each one and grab its end grip and stretch them all up, but we would have to do that individually, and that's no fun. That would be really tedious. What we can do instead is use this extend command. Now again, we can't immediately start clicking on the lines we want to extend. We have to first select the object to which we want the other objects to extend. So in other words, it's almost like choosing a finish line. Where do we want them to all end? Here. We're going to choose this line, then finish that selection with a right click, enter, or spacebar. And then again, we can either click on the lines individually or use a selection window to select them all at once, and they have all been extended now to the same point. So this works for objects other than lines. Let me erase that one. So for instance, I could draw a circle here, and maybe I want to trim all of the lines that are inside that circle. So I can switch this back to trim, select the circle, enter, and then pick all those lines inside the circle and trim them off. So we can use arcs, circles, rectangles, really any kind of object that we draw can be used to trim. So it doesn't just have to be a straight line. And of course, it can be a line at any angle as well. I could have a diagonal line and extend all of these other lines up to that one. I'm not sure why those two didn't go. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so trim and extend, really useful. Force yourself to try these new commands. Generally speaking, I see students who, they learn some of the basic commands in the beginning, line and rectangle, and then it's as if they get into their comfort zone and they think, okay, I'm just going to use these basic commands to do all of these drawings. I don't want to have to use all of these new commands that we keep learning week in and week out. And that's really doing themselves a disservice. All of these commands exist in order to make your drafting more efficient. And there are some situations where the trim or extend command just really can't be beat in terms of efficiency and doing what you want the drawing to do. So try to force yourself to try these new commands, even if they seem a little awkward at first. You'll get used to them, and then you'll wonder how you ever got by without them. So again, if you've got any questions, be sure to let your instructor know.